Let us look at understanding classical theory for specific heat capacities of solids. On the basis of experimental determination of specific heat capacities of solids at ordinary temperatures, two scientists, namely Dulong and Petit, concluded empirically that the atomic heat capacity is nothing but product of specific heat capacity and atomic weight. The atomic heat capacity for all the solids is same and is nearly equal to 25 joules per mole per Kelvin. That means around 6 calories per mole per centigrade. And it is independent of temperature. So this is what is known as Dulong and Petit's law. Based on various experiments conducted on specific heat capacities of solids at ordinary temperature, Dulong and Petit concluded empirically that atomic heat capacity for all solids is same and is nearly equal to 25 joules per mole per Kelvin. Let us see how they have derived this. All solids are made up of atoms or molecules closely packed together. The atoms are arranged in a crystalline array by strong electromagnetic forces exerted by every atom on each other. So therefore they are not free to move as the gas molecules. At absolute zero, the atoms are at rest and the energy of the solid is assumed to be zero. When the temperature is raised, the atoms start vibrating about their mean positions and the vibrations are transmitted from one atom to another atom. At low temperature, the displacement of atoms about their mean position is very small as compared to interatomic distances. Hence, these are regarded as harmonic oscillators. Thus, the vibrations of atoms are taken as simple harmonic in nature. And we know that in the case of simple harmonic motion, the average kinetic energy is equal to average potential energy. So in simple harmonic motion, average kinetic energy equal to average potential energy. So therefore the average energy corresponding to one vibration is equal to twice the kinetic energy corresponding to 1 degree of freedom. Here we will try to apply the law of equipartition of energy. So as per law of equipartition of energy, the average kinetic energy per atom in each degree of freedom is taken as half kT. So based on this, we can calculate the total energy per atom in each degree of freedom is the sum of P plus Ke, that means half kT plus half kT. So therefore the total energy per atom in each degree of freedom is taken as half kT plus half kT, that is kT. And here we know that each atom is free to vibrate along the 3 coordinate axis. Every atom has got therefore 3 degrees of freedom. So therefore the total average energy of each atom is naturally 3 kT. So if you take 1 mole of a solid, the total thermal energy of 1 mole of a solid is given by 3 n kT. N is the Avogadro number. So therefore the total thermal energy of 1 mole of a solid is nothing but thermal energy of a solid is represented as U. Therefore U is equal to 3n kT. But n into k is nothing but gas constant R. So therefore substituting Nk as R, you will get U is equal to 3 RT. This is equation 1. Now differentiating this equation gives atomic heat capacity. So therefore, the atomic heat capacity at constant volume you can calculate as differential of this. Like, so differentiating equation 1. Now atomic heat capacity at constant volume we will get as Cv equal to du by dt, which is nothing but d by dt of 3RT, that is nothing but 3R. Now here the value of R, universal gas constant, being 8.31 joules per mole per Kelvin or 1.9864 calories per mole per degree centigrade, and substituted the atomic heat capacity of a substance at constant volume Cv according to classical theory of equipartition of energy is found to be 25 joules per mole per Kelvin or 6 calories per mole per degree centigrade. So this value agrees with Dulong and Petit's law. No? So what they said in the beginning, Dulong and Petit law says atomic heat capacity for all solids is same and is nearly equal to 25 joules per mole per Kelvin. And it is independent of temperature. This is what has been arrived at. That's what the statement says, and we arrived at the 25 joules mole per Kelvin. The only main drawback of this theory is that the atomic heat capacity does not vary with temperature as observed by various experiments. So let us see the variation of heat capacities or atomic heat capacities of solids with temperature with the help of a graphical denotion. According to Dulong and Petit's law, the atomic heat capacity just now we have seen for all solids is same and is nearly equal to 25 joules per mole per Kelvin and is independent of temperature. But experimentally it is found that the atomic heat capacity of all substances vary with temperature. For example, in the case of non-metallic solids like boron, carbon, silicon, etc., the atomic heat capacity is different from 25 joules per mole per Kelvin at ordinary temperatures. For example, this graph, if you see, it shows the relation between atomic heat capacity at constant volume and the absolute temperature. For 4 typical substances we have taken, like lead, aluminium, silicon and diamond. So the results of the experiments of many investigators can be summarized from this graph. We can understand from this, the first point is, at low temperatures, the atomic heat capacity at constant volume decreases slowly with the decrease of temperature. And below a characteristic temperature, depending on the substance considered, it decreases rapidly with fall in temperature. At very low temperatures, the specific heat capacity of a solid is proportional to the cube of its absolute temperature. This is what is known as T-cube law. And at absolute zero, the atomic heat capacity tends to zero. At sufficiently high temperatures, the atomic heat capacity at constant volume increases with increase in temperature and finally reaches a value 3R, that is 25 joules per mole per Kelvin at high temperatures as predicted by Dulong and Petit. It can also be seen from the curve or curves that the value of 3R is reached by each substance at different temperatures. The variation of specific heat capacity of all substances is similar in nature. So therefore this discussion shows that Dulong and Petit's law is in good agreement with the experimental observation at high temperatures, but it fails to explain the observed rapid decrease at low temperatures. So therefore, Albert Einstein succeeded in obtaining a satisfactory explanation for the experimentally observed variation on the basis of modern quantum theory. Later, of course, Debye made a further improvement to Einstein theory. Now we shall focus on the correction made by Einstein to this theory as Einstein theory of specific heat. The first attempt to explain the variation of specific heat with temperature was made by Albert Einstein in 1907 on the basis of quantum theory. According to the quantum theory, heat is radiated in the form of discrete particles known as photons. The energy of each photon is h nu, where h is Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of heat radiation. So Einstein started with certain assumptions. Just he made some 3-4 assumptions to arrive at this. The first assumption made was all solids are composed of atoms which are together in periodic array by certain binding forces. So the atom acts as a simple harmonic oscillator. That was the first assumption. The second assumption was the atomic oscillators vibrate with the same frequency, but their energies are different because they vibrate with different amplitudes. So all atoms of a particular solid vibrate independently. Now the third assumption was each atom of a solid has 3 degrees of freedom, like a molecule of a monoatomic gas. And the fourth assumption made by Albert Einstein was using the Planck's quantum theory, the average energy of an oscillator per degree of freedom you can calculate as average energy equal to h nu by E into e power h nu by kT minus 1. This is average energy of an oscillator per degree of freedom. Now we have already assumed that each of the atom has got 3 degrees of freedom. Therefore, energy of each atom will be 3 h nu by e power h nu by kT minus 1. Because atom has 3 degrees of atom, 3 degrees of freedom. So therefore, when you take Avogadro number into picture, that the total energy of gram atom of a solid. So gram atom of a solid contains n atoms, which is nothing but Avogadro's number. Then based on this, the total energy of gram atom of a solid consisting of n atoms as per Avogadro number, we can calculate as E equal to, this energy of each atom will be changed to 3n h nu by e power h nu by kT minus 1. Let it be equation 1. So by differentiating this equation 1, we can get the atomic heat capacity at constant volume. So by differentiating this equation 1, we will be able to get the atomic heat capacity at constant volume, such as Cv equal to dE by dt. E is this only. So let us differentiate this and see what will be the result. So therefore, we will get by differentiating the value as 3n h nu into e power h nu by kT into h nu by kT square divided by e power h nu by kT minus 1 whole square. This is the differential value. Now again, this you can write it as, take this one as common out, h nu by kT square common out and multiply with h nu, then you will have k, you bring it out. So therefore you will have 3nk into h nu by kT whole square into e power h nu by kT by e power h nu by kT minus 1 whole square. Now here nk is nothing but R, universal gas constant R. So substituting nk equal to R, then you will have Cv equal to 3R into h nu by kT whole square into h nu by kT minus h divided by e power h nu by kT minus 1 whole square. Nk equal to R, universal gas constant, is applied. Now in this equation, let it be equation 3. So in this equation, let us put h nu by k as Einstein characteristic temperature, TE. So HU by K is put as one constant named as Einstein characteristic temperature. Then we can write HU by KT, K as TE. Therefore, HU by KT is written as TE by T. If HU by K is taken as T by TE, then HU by KT is taken as TE by T. Substituting this value here in the equation 3, now we can simplify the equation as, equation 2 is simplified as CV equal to 3R into HU by KT whole square, that is TE by T whole square, into E numerator E power HU by KT. Wherever you have HU by KT, you can write TE by T. Therefore, this will become 3R into TE by T whole square into E power TE by T by E power TE by T minus 1 whole square. Let this be equation 3. This is Einstein's specific heat formula. Here we have used the term Einstein's characteristic temperature. What is this characteristic temperature of any substance? It is nothing but the temperature at which the molecular heat capacity reaches a value nearly equal to 23 joules per mole per Kelvin. That's how we can define characteristic temperature in this equation. Characteristic temperature of a substance, of any substance, is defined as the temperature at which the molecular heat capacity reaches a value nearly equal to 23 joules per mole per Kelvin. So substituting T is equal to TE in this equation, instead of TE, substituting T equal to TE in this equation, what will happen? This will go T by T. Again, this is E power T by T, E power T by T. So this equation gets simplified as CV is equal to 3R into logarithmic value, exponential function, E by E. That is coming around E by E minus 1 whole square. So that when simplified comes to around 0.921. So therefore you will be left with CV is equal to 3R into 0.921. When simplified, this comes to around 23 joules per mole per Kelvin. Now from this we can define the characteristic frequency. This characteristic frequency can be defined with the help of the definition of characteristic temperature. So for example, HU by KTE, for T if you substitute TE, it will become HU by KTE, it will become 1. Where K and H are known, when these two are known, K and H are known constants, and knowing the value of TE from the solid, the value of characteristic frequency can be calculated. So it is clear from this equation 3 that atomic heat capacity is a function of temperature. Thus, Einstein's theory of specific heat capacity of solids fairly explains the experimental observation that specific heat capacity of solid depends on temperature. Now, we shall try to explain the experimentally observed facts on the basis of Einstein equation, such as at high temperature if you take, that is when T is much greater than TE. In that case, TE by T is found to be much less than 1. Then E power TU by T will be approximately equal to 1 plus TE by T. When this value is substituted, specific heat capacity at constant volume is found to be approximately equal to 3R into TE by T whole square plus 1 by TE by T by TE by T whole square. Then when this simplified, this substituting this value, it comes to around approximately 3R. That means at high temperature, the specific heat approaches 3R, which is in agreement with Dulong and Petit's law. And similarly at low temperature, if you say, low temperature means when T is much less than TE. In that case, TE by T is much greater than 1. And therefore, in that case, specific heat capacity at constant volume when substituted, this value here, 3R into TE by T whole square into e power TE by T by e power TE by T whole square. Substituting the value gets simplified. 3R into TE by T whole square into e power, bring the denominator to the numerator, e power minus TE by T. These equations show that as T tends to 0, automatically constant volume also approaches, CV also approaches 0. Further, CV will become 0 at T equal to 0, which is in agreement with the experimental observed fact. But there are certain limitations for Einstein's theory also in this case. So even though Einstein's theory of specific heat to somewhat able to modify the drawbacks of Dulong and Petit's concept, but still this theory also has got its limitations. For example, Einstein's theory fails to at very low temperatures where CV is found to be nearly proportional to T cube rather than given by this value. This disagreement is due to the neglect of mutual forces exerted by the atoms upon each other. Therefore, in the year 1912, another scientist Debye made an improvement to this theory and gave an equation that satisfactorily explained the experimental variation of atomic specific capacity over a wide range of temperatures. Thus, in this session, we tried to understand the concept of classical theory for specific heat capacity of solids proposed by Dulong and Petit's law, its drawbacks, and tried to understand the concept of variation of atomic heat capacities of solids with temperature, and then Einstein's modification of Petit's and Dulong theory as Einstein theory of specific heat, its merits and its limitations. This is what we have seen in this session today.